Now we're starting to get somewhere with the morning thunderstorms finally breaking up. Enjoy your afternoon because round two's on the way. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a prisoner exchange is underway after Ukrainian fighters surrender to the Russian military at Mariupol.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police investigate after a shooting yesterday sends one man to the hospital and takes the life of another. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the JPD responds to shots fired Monday evening and finds 2 shooting victims. It happened shortly after 6 p.m. at the intersection of 5th and South Connor. Witnesses say numerous shots were fired. One of the male victims died at the scene. The second was taken to a local hospital where he remains in critical condition. Captain William Davis says the JPD is developing information on a suspect and a suspect vehicle, but no one is in custody as of yet. Joplin City Council approves a plan to add a property tax question to the August ballot. The tax would pay for wage and funding increases for the Joplin Police and Fire Departments, which were both agreed to at last night's council meeting. The property tax covers a rate of $1 per $100 of assessed valuation. And council members last night also watched a presentation on what the Celebration Commission has been up to as Joplin's 150th anniversary nears. They're working on a promotion themed around the city flower, the iris. The commission also wants to schedule concerts, open art history and cultural exhibits, and get special mining camp uniforms for the Joplin High School baseball team. The 150th anniversary is March 23rd of next year.
I got to give them a whole lot of credit. Oftentimes I don't know what I'm doing the next weekend.
Right. It's a big deal.
No, it is. It is.
It
feels honestly like we've kind of been counting this down for several years.
Yes.
And the fact that they have put all those ideas together, that is something else. I would love to see the Joplin High School kids don the special mining baseball uniforms. I think that would be tremendously fun.
I hope that comes to fruition too. That'd be really cool.
Well, Tanya, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of outdoor activity when it comes to baseball and softball all throughout the afternoon and evening across the entire 4 states. And now the nice thing is, while we don't have a lot of sunshine right now, at least we're beginning to break up. Not only our cloud cover, but see our rain dissipate as well. We're still holding on to just little portions of it, and just about all, minus northeast Oklahoma. We've still got a little bit of rain coming down in 3 of our states, but certainly nothing like the torrential rainfall and the thunderstorm activity that we had from about 4 to 6 a.m. as that thing rolled through right across the state line. So now that we have a little chance to calm down, nice thing is nothing on the backside of it, but before we get into Wednesday morning, we're really going to spend a lot of time talking about what develops up to the north, because this thing is going to drop out of Omaha, come through Kansas City, and head toward us. Luckily, that low pressure system really hasn't formulated anything yet, which sets us up for a nice afternoon and pretty delightful evening. Look out here. We got Chanute already pressing up close to 80 degrees. Joplin sits at a very comfortable 74, 76 in Miami, and 74 as well in Nevada. So we're going to throw some low 80s out there, especially up in the west and up to the northwest, where we're already seeing the warmer temperatures. And then overnight, that's what we're going to concentrate on, the thunderstorm activity in from the north. Now, we do have a couple developments from when we left off this morning. Number one, as far as how south this wants to push, it almost is taking more of an easterly trend right now. Earlier this morning, we had this down just about into the central portion of the 4 states. So as it pushes through right there, we're still going to see some residual backfill on it. Not going to say that everybody's going to escape being dry. You will definitely down here if you're way down to the south, but perhaps not the intensity that we first expected. Then as we push out, be done with that by about, say 8, 9 o'clock. 7-day forecast, not looking too bad. Going to warm back up into the 80s again. Still got that cold front coming Friday and Saturday. So Tanya, here in just a little bit, I want to update number one, the timing of tonight, but also 2, severe thunderstorm risk map, because we do fall squarely in the heart of it.
Yeah, a lot to update us on. Thank you, Michael. President Biden is in Buffalo today to visit the scene of this weekend's deadly supermarket attack. The president and first lady are paying their respects to the victims and meeting with victims' family members, as well as police officers and other first responders. Authorities say the 18-year-old suspect, who is white, explored the Tops Friendly Market 2 months before the shooting that killed 10 people and injured 3 others. 11 of the 13 people shot were black. Officials in Buffalo say they are now concerned about copycat attacks. Congress is holding its first public hearing on unidentified flying objects in more than half a century. Pentagon officials are expected to testify about how the Defense Department is organizing reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, the military's term for UFOs. This follows a congressionally mandated overview from the Pentagon and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence that documented 143 reports of UAP between 2004 and 2021. In Ukraine, the siege of a steel plant in Mariupol appears to be coming to an end. The facility endured heavy bombardment by Russia for more than 2 months. Russian-backed separatists say more than 250 Ukrainians surrendered. Deborah Pata reports from Kharkiv near the Russian border.
The Russian military took the wounded Ukrainian fighters to territory it controls. A prison exchange is being negotiated while rescue attempts continue for those still underground. As Mariupol falls, defiant Ukrainian soldiers celebrate a victory to the north with a bold video announcing, "We've reached the Russian border, Mr. President." They've recaptured much of the land surrounding the second largest city of Kharkiv. But it's still tense. Ukrainian soldiers demand proof of this man's identity, suspicious of everyone. Russian troops got to within less than a mile here in Derhachi. Despite their retreat, they can still inflict terrible damage. This cultural center, used as a distribution hub for humanitarian aid, was hit twice in the past week, Mayor Vyacheslav Zadorenko tells us. And the situation remains critical in 4 nearby villages under Russian control. They say they're liberating us from the Nazis, the mayor said, but in reality, they're liberating us from the peaceful life we used to have. And that peace is still under threat.
We've been hearing artillery all morning. They've pushed the Russian forces back, but clearly not enough.
The surreal sight of war in suburban backyards remains as Ukrainian tanks rush to reposition themselves. And the hills reverberate with the grief of women whose men died defending their country. This is no military funeral. Yulia Loseva's husband was a 38-year-old truck driver who'd never fought in his life.
As for Kharkiv, people are slowly coming home, but it's going to take a while for the city to return to normal. Deborah Pata, CBS News, Kharkiv, Ukraine.
Let's look at today's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a sandstorm blankets the Middle East, shutting down schools, businesses, and airports. And later, we're making South Pacific pork chops in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Climate experts are raising a red flag over an unprecedented series of sandstorms across Iraq. Dust storms happen every season in that region, but never like this. CBS's Tina Kraus gives us a look.
Another week, another sandstorm. This is the 8th to hit Iraq in a month. No one can escape the orange haze hanging over cities. This taxi driver says the sandstorms won't stop and people feel suffocated. Thousands are in hospitals with breathing problems. Doctors say older people and those with asthma are suffering the most. Iraq is prone to seasonal sandstorms, but climate experts warn they're becoming too frequent and blame drought and government officials for poor water management policies. Low visibility shut down Baghdad International Airport, leaving passengers stranded. With dust and sand engulfing the country, all people could do is wear a mask and wait. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
When it comes to the climate crisis, the United Nations says Iraq is the 5th most vulnerable country in the world. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Want to give your taste buds a trip to the South Pacific? You can, and there's no passport required.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Felt like I spent the commercial break there spinning the tower camera back and forth, looking for just a little break. That's about as good as I found right there. over 7th and Range Line. But the nice thing is the intersection has dried off. As Tanya and I were talking about earlier, we have a very, very full night of high school baseball and high school softball across the entire 4-state area. Now, if your field made it through the morning thunderstorms, you're good to go all throughout the afternoon and evening. 74 degrees is where we stand right now over 7th and Range Line. Have seen that wind pick up quite a bit. 22-mile-an-hour gusts measured at Joplin Regional Airport. Now we're starting to see double-digit sustained winds at just about all of our measuring points. But the key factor is, now that they've switched and we've got the southerly flow, that does a great job helping us out temperature-wise. Thought maybe Chanute might get to 80 by the time we did our full weather block. Still hanging at 79. Joplin a very comfortable 74. And then a slew of 72s throughout southwest Missouri. So it is very, very nice outside, despite the fact that the clouds haven't really let the sun take over quite as of yet. Now we're starting to see little patches of it break, but along with the breaking, we still have little patches of rain that we're holding on to. South here of I-44, down in Berry County, a little bit still in southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma has calmed down. This is coming off of a morning where throughout portions of northeast Oklahoma, specifically Washington, Nowata County, we saw places that picked up about 1.4 inches of rain, but nothing on the backside of it. So now what we're going to concentrate on is some low pressure that has just kicked in off the east side of the Rockies. And this is going to be pretty interesting because what we're going to have the top one do is, bottom one, let's start with it. Bottom one panhandles, top one takes off up here toward Omaha. Okay, if they're going to split like that, guess what we have? Right in the middle of it. So what we'll have are some warm temperatures causing the instability down to the south. Combine that with a low pressure that's going to formulate the thunderstorms up to our north, and they're just going to drop right down on us. So that's what we're looking at for tonight. We haven't seen a whole lot of development. This right here on the north side of Omaha, it's been pretty consistent all morning. And that has continued to track up toward the Great Lakes right there. So it'll be until this evening before that low pressure really advances up here. And that's also too why our timing is really slowing down for tomorrow morning's thunderstorm activity. But remember that circle we drew? Yeah, that kind of takes care of the elevated area in the brown, and also too the low category, certainly more widespread than that circle that I drew, but even the low category is going to be an indicator for high wind and hail. And then once you get into the elevated, which just stays just to the north of our counties, that's definitely going to drop some hail on it. A little bit of a shift, however. Earlier this morning, the brown more hanging over here, kind of encompassing Kansas City. Think about Kansas City as almost being in the heart of it. And so now we've got a little westerly push on that. As far as the low category, not much movement. Still all encompassing down to the south central portion of the 4 states. And remember, even if you find yourself in that marginal category, that's still going to be some very heavy rain and high wind as well. That threat for hail kind of backs off when you get into the marginal. Temperatures for this afternoon, we'll definitely see some low 80s if we're already seeing high 70s. But let's talk about what's coming up for tomorrow. We talked about our timing of it. Earlier this morning, it looked like this low pressure wanted to develop upon us, probably about 9:30, 10 p.m. tonight. Now we're going to drop that back because by 10 p.m. we're still starting to form up to the north, so probably not upon our northern counties until early Wednesday morning. The other key factor, instead of it dropping straight down to the south, which is really what it was trying to do this morning, now we see more of an easterly push of it. Doesn't mean we're not going to get the heavy rain. It looks like, though, south central Missouri, in central Mo, it's going to be the one that really gets soaked. It's an interesting system, Tanya, and the fact that it stays so well organized after it rolls through us makes it all the way to the Atlantic coast. But we get a quick rebound. After that thing's done, say 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, same thing as today. Clouds clear off, up into the mid-80s. It's going to be a tad bit humid tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's humid enough today.
We're gonna throw some heat index readings. It'll be close to 90, if not eclipse 90 tomorrow.
Okay, not looking forward to that. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class Wayne Race in the U.S. Army. The soldier served in Africa, France, and in Italy from 1943 to 1945 with the Alpha Company 437th Battalion. He was awarded 4 Bronze Stars and the Good Conduct Medal. To Wayne Race, we thank you, our 4-state hero. If you're looking for tender pork with a yummy tropical flavor, you'll love today's recipe. Howard shows us how to make South Pacific pork chops in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If going to the South Pacific is on your bucket list, then you better start saving. Just for the fun of it, I checked out what the average airfare is, and let me tell you, it's a pretty penny. So while you're saving, I have just the thing so you can have the taste of the South Pacific without leaving home. All we do is saute a few thick-cut pork chops that we seasoned with a bit of salt and pepper. After both sides are golden, we take them out of the skillet, and in the same pan, we add the juice that we drained from a can of pineapple, a good amount of ketchup, a bit of water, some brown sugar, and a splash of apple cider vinegar. After this comes together, we toss in some chunked up pineapple, some sliced carrots, and a green pepper that we cut into chunks. Once the sauce heats up, we put the pork chops back in to cook through. Then fasten your seatbelt, because your taste buds are in for a tropical treat. Serve this over some white rice, which is perfect to soak up all that sauce. Do yourself a favor, head over to our website now so you can enjoy our South Pacific pork chops as soon as tonight. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a tropical way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
I'm not sure how I feel about the carrots in there with that sauce. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Your afternoon and your evening, but don't be out too late because remember what comes in tomorrow morning. We've got thunderstorm activity that drops in from the north, carries us all the way to about the 7 o'clock hour, and then we get ready for some humidity that's certainly going to linger for Wednesday into Thursday. And once again, Doug and Nick will have you taken care of tonight. Tanya and I will see you back here updating you on that storm action during the KOAM Morning News tomorrow morning.
That's right.
Good.
What else do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, are your gut and your brain connected? In Health Watch, how what happens in your gut may impact your risk of getting dementia. We're going to take a look at that. Plus, a pilot program begins for a 6-county substance misuse prevention coalition. Find out the purpose and goals of the program. And Lamar police warn residents about an increase in the number of thefts and burglaries. Hope you join us for those stories, a whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up tonight on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.